It is comparison of the effectiveness of virtual laboratory and real laboratory during the COVID-19 pandemic in vector material in high school. Okay, my name is Annisa Nurjanah and I am Master of Basic Education students in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Let's continue these slides. Okay, for the first, here it is, what I'm going to talk for this presentation. It's about how do we know about real laboratory and virtual laboratory, and how about if we compare it in the same school. Okay, let's get started with the result. For the introduction, first, pandemic makes the education system changing. As we know that Indonesia really have a new education system that called as PJJ or pembelajaran jarak jauh, and in English we know about distance learning. And also some of the material will cut and we only deliver some of the chapters in our subject. And also this distance learning as a solution from the government. We know that there are also many evaluation for the last 1 until 2 years ago that we really do our distance learning, but let us talk about a real laboratory and virtual laboratory in the senior high school. Because we really need to know about learning process that conducted an experiment, and the solution is real laboratory for offline class and virtual laboratory for online class. And also the teachers could choose which strategy is the best for its class. This is become the basic problem for the teacher for this journal, because of we know the strategy the best for our class, and we can know which is the best for our lesson plan for the next lesson plan. Okay, here it is the methods. I use mixed methods with the type triangulation design because from Frankel 1932 talk about triangulation designs can complete the quantitative or qualitative data that haven't completed. So because I only got a little data, so I need more qualitative data, which is the interview to the teachers with the same experience that use also the virtual laboratory and real laboratory. For this research, I conducted to the 89 male students in Islamic Senior High School in West Java with real laboratory class, which just means it's offline classes with the 2 classes, consists of 60 students, and the virtual laboratory class, it's an online class with only 29 students. And for the data, for the quantitative data, I use questionnaires and surveys, also the students' worksheet for the learning process. And the last, it's about the interview to the teachers with the same experience. I need this interview for completed the data for the qualitative data, and it becomes a cross check between the questionnaire surveys and the worksheets of the students. Here it is the results and this discussion. For the first is the comparison of learning process. Okay. For the learning process through process skills, use guided inquiry worksheet. Because this is an experiment, so it's really good when we use science process skills for the assessment. And I use the student worksheet with guided inquiry, then I give them the guided for understand the worksheet. Also, how can they do the experiment, but not the way to do the experiment. I only guide them, then they can discover what the material they need, and also what is the plan that need to do. Okay, and the comparison is the students' response between virtual and also real laboratory really have a different response in the class. When in the virtual laboratory, only inactive students that really understand about the matter, about the factor, and they can talk and ask me. But in real laboratory, which is been in offline class, almost every group that they active to ask about the material or the worksheet or everything else. That's only a part of the different of response of the students. And for the results in a worksheet score, there's no many much difference. This is 87.71 for real laboratory and 86.69 for virtual laboratory. But we talk about the as a qualitative, and we can know, is it really had the significant difference between real laboratory and virtual laboratory, and the different creativity that they get for the online class and also offline class, because when offline class know about how to use the material, also know the procedure in front of them, fast to them. But in for the online class, they know more about the simulators and they can work independently. Have a different creativity that build for the online class and offline class. This one, the second one about student survey and questionnaire result. Talk about the survey and questionnaire. Here it is, only 44% of students fill out the surveys and the questionnaires completely. For the last, they are not attractive to do, to fill until complete to the surveys and questionnaires, but it's okay because this 44% of the students had make this had described more about the virtual laboratory and real laboratory. Okay, here it is the results. 30.8% strongly agree, and 43.6% of students agree that learning by using practicum or experiment is favored by students compared to the only interactive lectures, because it is noticed with the online or offline students. We know that everybody really happy when they had a new way to get study in a class. And 35.9% of the students doubt that students' misunderstanding is caused by the teacher's unclear explanation, which is mean they don't assure that when they don't understand, it's really caused by the teacher's unclear explanation. Maybe they think that they really don't understand because they haven't read more about the matter. But it's only 35.9%. And the last one about the survey, it's talk about 43.6% strongly agree and 33.3 agree that this factor practicum can only be understood after receiving it's flashback, it's feedback. I'm so sorry. The feedback from the teachers, because when we had a good experiment, the teachers also need the feedback and reviewing about the which part this is the true one or the false one. Then they can know which one is the true one they remember for the next case. Okay, and here it is the result for interview result. I divided into the advantages and also the weaknesses. The advantages for the offline class using real laboratories had higher science process skills experience, because we know that everybody in offline class can use the the material, and also they can learn to know about how to use the peripheral, and also the easier opportunities to ask questions directly to the teachers, and they can also get faster feedback from the teachers. And the advantages for the online classes that use virtual laboratory, they can increase ability of students to able to study independently. Yeah, just like when I talked for the previous slides, they can know about the many sources from the internet, and there's no limitation in providing tools and materials, which is mean they don't need to search new things. Not hard to get the material in a market, because it has been provided in simulators, and more efficient because we don't need to buy or pay for the simulators, for the free simulators. And for now, there are many simulators, the free simulators that user friendly. So which we just use for the teachers or students, they can try to use the virtual laboratory by themselves. And for the weaknesses for the online classes, this one for the weaknesses, teacher feels overwhelmed because everybody wants to ask and everybody wants to have a good service. And the science process assessment is difficult, as we know that when the class is really crowded, really one with their own activity, also the teachers will be difficult to assess everybody inside the class. And it takes a long time, and actually the achievement in the science process skills is good, but the cognitive skills or cognitive knowledge doesn't have a significant effect, because they really understand about the practicum. But when they connecting this with the theory, they're really hard to connect it. And the weaknesses for the online classes is difficulty of reviewing the abilities of the students who are not active during learning. Yes, of course, because really hard for the teachers knowing who else that don't understand about the matter. Is it really true that someone who don't say anything, they don't understand, or when they don't understand, they also still not giving questions, and the deadline is not working well. As we know, we need to give them deadline to submit every worksheet or any task, but usually doesn't work good. Yeah, doesn't work well, because they usually late to submit the task. And it is difficult to give feedback according to the student needs, because students tend to be passive in a meeting room. As we know that when we don't know to do, when the students not ask everything, so we really confused to respond to students. That it is. Because of that, we have a conclusion for this simple research. They talk about the comparison of the results of the real laboratory and virtual laboratory during the COVID-19 pandemic in one of high school, and factors concept material provides a diverse picture from various points of view. There are from the teachers, students, and researchers. I think only that's that I can deliver. Thank you for that. If you want to ask more questions, just please contact me in my email. It's in nurjanah.annisa with double N at upri.edu. Thank you so much. That's all for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.